Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Curious World. I really hope you enjoyed those Norman Wisdom films in the documentary. Like I say, very sadly, he died in 2010, about a year after that documentary was made. You may be interested to know that Norman Wisdom's final words were, "I'm a lucky little devil." That put me down another rabbit hole of final words, and I decided to do a little bit of research into the final words of some famous people, both great artists, great minds, powerful people throughout history. I had a little look into some of their final words, and seeing as I just gave you Norman Wisdom's final words, he was one of Britain's great comedians. Another one of Britain's great comedians, when he was on his deathbed, Charlie Chaplin, the priest told him, "May God have mercy on your soul," and his response was, "Why not? After all, it belongs to him." His contemporary, his American contemporary Buster Keaton, his final words were, "To hell with it." Spike Milligan, he was another amazing British comedian. Now his last words these weren't his last words, but this was the epitaph on his gravestone. He actually had this written in Doric, in Gaelic on his tombstone. He had, "I told you I was ill," inscribed on his tombstone. Not quite final words, but certainly words worthy of the great Spike Milligan for his final diatribe. But Oscar Wilde, I have a great love for Oscar Wilde. Now, he may not be a comedian in the strictest sense, but he was certainly a great witticist. His final words were, "Either that wallpaper goes or I do." What a guy. But from great comedians to other great minds, poor old Sir Isaac Newton, his final words were, "The great oceans of truth lay all undiscovered before me." Nikola Tesla said, "All these years brought me nothing but insults and humiliation." Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, a Scottish man, he created the telephone, a device that brings people together and separates folk from large distances. His final words were, "Don't leave me." The irony quite thick there. Albert Einstein, his final words were, "I have done my share, it's time to go." And possibly one of the greatest minds of all time, Stephen Hawking, said, "There is no God, no one directs the universe." From some of the greatest minds to some of the most powerful people, Alexander the Great, at a time when might made right was more than just an expression, it was the reality of existence. You could only own or control what you could defend yourself. Might made right for much of human history, and Alexander the Great, one of the first people to rule the world, if you like, his final words were, "To the strongest." Vladimir Lenin, the great Russian leader, his final words were a little less profound. "Good dog." Joseph Stalin, another great Russian leader, didn't say anything. His final words were a gurgle. Adolf Hitler said, "I made a mistake." Another one of the most men considered to be the most evil throughout history, Osama bin Laden, said, "I want to correct the mistakes we made." How weird's that one? Hitler said, I made a mistake, and Osama bin Laden said, I want to correct the mistakes we made. On the other side of the fence from Hitler, we had Winston Churchill, who said, I'm bored with it all. Whereas J. Edgar Hoover said, I have a terrible pain in the back of my head. It's a strange thing how some people are prepared for it and some people aren't. Nelson Mandela, his final words were, I am prepared to die. Ronald Reagan said, I had a great life. Where JFK, John F. Kennedy, said, my God, I've been hit. A few years after John F. Kennedy said, oh, my God, I've been hit, John Lennon said, I'm shot. There are a lot of great artists in the world, speaking of Lennon. One of my favourite artists, Salvador Dali, another man with a fantastic moustache, said, I don't believe in my death. Picasso said, we are all beggars. Bob Marley said, money can't buy life. Elvis Presley said, I hope I haven't bored you. Bruce Lee said, I don't feel well. Heath Ledger said, I'll be fine. And to top it off, to end it out, it seems appropriate, Freddie Mercury's final words were, thank you and good night. Well, I hope you enjoyed this part of the segment. For the next show that I've got lined up is a British TV series. This is an early show in the careers of many great British TV stars. This is like an early one for them, many of them. Matthew Berry, you may well be familiar with him now in America. He's in What We Do in the Shadows. This also had Richard Ayoade, and it had Noel Fielding. You may not be as too familiar with Noel Fielding in America, but he made some cameo appearances in this show as well. So some amazing British talent, people that I'm going to be exposing you to a lot more on this show, hopefully. But this is such a dark, twisted, funny show. This is very British humour, very low budget, but in the best possible way. Everything is satire in this. Don't take any of it seriously. It's all just, it's like spoof of like 80s action hospital dramas. But I know that's even a contradiction in itself. But I really hope you have the chance to go check out my playlist just now, so that you can watch this, not just these individual segments that I'm hosting, but the shows that I'm talking about. You'll find them all in the playlist. So going to be up in episode 1. So the show that I want us to watch is Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. It's an absolutely brilliant show. Deserves way much more attention than it gets. Even in the UK, it's still kind of like, oh, I don't know if I've heard of that. So in America, I'm really hoping that the 40% of Americans that make up my viewer base have never seen Garth Marenghi's Darkplace and get as many giggles out of it as I have. Now, I'm going to be putting up like 1 or 2 episodes in my episode, but you can find the full episodes on YouTube. You can find them, more episodes, in my Curious TV series playlist, or you can source that where I got them from, because it's all links that I use. I don't have the technological know-how to edit or do anything. By the way, I really hope you enjoyed Garth Marenghi's Darkplace. The links are all up there, and remember to check out the pages of the people that I've linked. So, and I'll see you after this intermission. Enjoy the show, everyone, and I'll see you when you get back.